Angel Reese is obviously and clearly taking too much heat because I believe a lot of people are using this situation as a cover for their innate vitriol and maybe their innate kind of racism or racial tension or racial misunderstanding. And now that they have been given a reason, at least a reason that they're going to try to take, which is Angel Reese reacting to Caitlin Clark's foul, now this is their opportunity to say what they always wanted to say, but they needed a mask to put on to cover up the innate whether it's racism or the innate prejudice or just the innate hate that they have for Angel Reese and the way in which she carries herself. That's my issue with all of this. A lot of individuals don't even watch the game of basketball, let alone women's basketball, but have so much to say about Angel Reese because they always wanted to say it. They just needed a reason to say it.
The devil's honey had me.
I said I'm never coming back again. Next I stepped away from the mirror. I got my mind made up now, cause I can see the future much clearer. What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Subscriber died trying. You see the thumbnail. More importantly, you saw the clip. WNBA race play. Ever since Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese got into the WNBA, it's been the Boston Celtics, Los Angeles Lakers race war of the 80s. And this situation just, season opener no different, right? So just calling it like I see it. Basically, the Sky went down like 14, and Angel Reese went for a loose ball rebound. She went for a rebound, and she pushed Natasha Howard in the back. Ref didn't call it, so it would have been it's a rebound, right? And Caitlin pointed like, "Yo," and the ref didn't call it, so she fouled Angel Reese, and then the whole blow up after that. But it's just basketball. That's just basketball, competitive basketball. You losing, you trying to get back in the game. You get chippy. It worked, but the other team saw it and they're like, "Nah, you catching a foul for that." Not a big deal. But then everybody else throws their racism and and self hate and super love all into it, right? And unfortunately, man, is it good for the WNBA? Yes, because America's racist, and if we can get the WNBA to, the NBA in the 70s and 80s as a starting point now, that's moving fast. But Angel and Caitlin got to win. Unfortunately, they're not in they can't meet up in the finals because of where they're at. But it's good for the game, I guess. But in a sense, it's also bad because y'all act like they're the two best players in the WNBA. They're not. Is Caitlin better? Yes. And that's a whole race thing there. It's like, oh, the white person's better than the black person. Okay, but they're still not the best two players in the league. I hate to break the news to you, which is gonna add to the conflict and hopefully the competitiveness of the game, because them women they competitive. So every time all the rest of the players get a chance to stick it to Caitlin and Angel, they're gonna do so. They're gonna do so because the spotlight has been on them for the last 2 years, and that's where it's gonna be, right? So as long as those two improve, it brings more and more eyes, and as long as the animosity is on the court, it brings eyes to the game. Um, the other thing, then it spilled over into black versus white, black woman versus white woman, and you got Manuel Acho talking about it, but then you got Ryan Clark going at Robert Griffin, and Griffin responding, and I'm gonna just say this. Unfortunately, when people are reporting on sports, they're going to be biased. If they're going to be biased for their race, or if they're going to be biased for the race of people that they're married to or in a relationship with. either way. So people are bringing that into it, and that's the one thing. The WNBA is like, unfortunately, y'all got to be part of, guys little, and sometimes not. It's the guys and girls little, racial and gender and insecurity issues and self hate issues, because now they put it on y'all. They put it on y'all. You know, um, is Robert Griffin a self hater? But he fits the stereotypical of a black guy who went a little too far with the assimilation. He's golly gee willikers, like Emmanuel Acho, almost there. You get what I'm saying? He like, you feel like it's better to communicate with America, but that just means white America. But nobody's telling you to be super hood, because that's not what we saying as black people. But it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, and then Ryan Clark is like, we got to be black and blackity black, 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 black. And it's like, yeah, you can do that, but you can still be wrong too, dog. But see, here's another thing about that situation. Uh, Ryan Clark from New Orleans, and if I'm not mistaken, Robert Griffin's family is from New Orleans. He didn't grow up there. So this might have a little bit more internal issue or internal information throwing jabs at him, over the media than just his commentary. And that's just to throw that out there. But back to the lecture at hand. The WNBA is going to capitalize on this race play if it's competitive. Great. Here's the WNBA's number one issue, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Y'all gonna have to get the Comets back in the WNBA. Y'all, it's gonna have to be like a 2-team expansion at some point, because that ruined the WNBA. That's what ruined the WNBA. In all honesty, your basically it was your flag. It wasn't necessarily the flagship team, because I know y'all wanted the L.A. New York thing, like the Liberty and the Sparks to go at it, but Houston basically took that over in the beginning and was winning. And when something like that went under, even though it was winning, that's a problem. So y'all, that y'all never got over that hump. And I'm not into the WNBA like I was there at the inception. I was at them Comets games at the inception, in Compaq Center. And to this day, Kim Parrott is my favorite. Rest in peace to her. But the WNBA, because of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and that whole American thing, American race war thing, it brought more eyes. And for all the people who are like, oh, it's a racial issue, y'all actually made this a racial issue when they was in college. Y'all made this a racial issue. They got to the finals, and LSU beat Iowa. It was a racial issue, black kids versus white kids. Y'all got y'all inner Don Imus on. It didn't work out the way it worked out the way some people wanted, and didn't work out the way other people wanted it. But after that, the issue really came with what is that? Saturday Night Live in the White House. That's when you overtly made it a racial issue. So that's what that was. So to act like race is not going to always be a part of this equation, it's a lie. This is where this comes from. But and though I got to say this, reluctantly, I was listening to somebody on the radio say this today. It actually, all of this with Angel and Caitlin takes the emphasis off of the WNBA being looked at as like a league for lesbians. You know what I'm saying? So with them two being more integral and being faces of the league, people are slowly like creeping back towards the WNBA. And I will say, I know y'all want to get paid more, and I would just say y'all really at the beginning stages. So, Bill Russell didn't make a whole lot of money back in the day. You get what I'm saying? So y'all between the Bill Russell stage and on the precipice of the Magic and Bird stage. Y'all ain't really got y'all Michael Jordan era yet. But the most important part of that would be put on a show for these people when they come. And I think y'all are so competitive, y'all gonna do so. And the more y'all keep doing it, the more these instances pop up where, whether the cameras are gonna be on folks because they're being chippy. As long as you show up and it's a great game, it'll help grow the league. So at the end of the day, the racial situation, it was built in. And then you got her being, Angel being in Chicago and Caitlin being in Indiana. That's a whole another little racial dynamic, ironically. But so it kind of plays into everything in that way. But as far as the ladies go, man, just keep balling, just keep playing. Just, you know what I'm saying? Just keep balling and keep playing. You're not getting your just due yet, but it's on the way. It's on the way. But everybody else's insecurity, unfortunately, is going to be projected on y'all. And honestly, some of y'all might want to play on that to bring more eyes to the league. Now that I think about it, some of y'all might just want to play into the good guy, bad guy role. Just for okay, fine. you know, unfortunately, you get hecklers and all that other stuff now. But as who was he? I'm not gonna say who. Nature Boy, the original Nature Boy, the first Nature Boy wrestler. When he told Muhammad Ali, you gotta. If everybody loves you, you only pack half the stadium. If you get half of the people that love you and make half of the other people hate you, you're polarizing, and they in two sides fill the seats. So if y'all got to play into it a little bit, if y'all willing to do that, be polarizing. It'll pack the seats. That's just the reality of it. And if you say, well, the men don't have to do that, yeah, they do, because that's why football and basketball are polarizing like that. It's just it's more black players now, but the crowd itself is polarized. That's what that is. So I'll leave it at that. Like, share, subscribe. Catch y'all on the next one. Tell me what you think. Peace. You ever been at the top of the universe? I'm gonna take it.